idea here and what really happens at North Central.
That is not an exaggeration. That is pretty much a typical appointment for us. I'm going to talk about 4 things that we do at North Central that we have found beneficial in bringing transfers. They are the course substitution guide, 2+2 articulation agreements, using student workers to phone prospective students, and transfer house that we have at North Central. But first, just to give you an idea of how our structure is within our office, Dan and I are housed in the Office of Undergraduate Admission. Our structure is a dean, then we have 7 counselors that recruit only freshmen, and they bring in about 330 new freshmen in a year. And Dan and I solely work with new transfers, and we'll bring in about over 200 in a year, and that is recruiting for all 3 of our fall, winter, and spring terms. Dan and I do work with traditional age transfers as well as adult students. There is another department on campus, continuing ed, that also will bring in about 255 new transfers. And they typically are adults that are going exclusively through our evening and weekend college or are involved in some sort of corporate reimbursement program. As you can see that the days of your campus being your new students coming from high school, just having gone to their prom 3 months ago, are long gone, and North Central is a reflection of that new kind of diverse enrollment. The course substitution guide, which I have samples for all of you, is this. This is just 1 page. This happens to be our course substitution guide with our College of DuPage. And there are about 9 more pages that make up the guide. With both the substitution guides and the 2+2s, the way we use them, Dan and I use them in individual appointments with students. We bring them out to visits at community colleges and fairs. And we also encourage our freshman counselors to bring them on the road, because a lot of times they will meet with seniors and their parents that know that they're going to go to a local community college before, and then they know they want to eventually transfer in 2 years or more to North Central. So it's a great tool, and it really, the best way to use it is if we can get it in their hands before they enter the community college. That's when it is most valuable. The course substitution guide basically just tells the student what classes at that community college will transfer to North Central. It tells them how the credit will come into our school, if it will meet one of our liberal arts requirements, and if it will be an elective or if it will come in as an equivalent course at North Central. The 2+2 is a little bit more specific, not only school specific but major specific. So it really comes in handy for a senior in high school that knows they're going to go to College of DuPage and major in psychology. Right now we only have the 2+2s with about 4 or 5 community colleges and in about 8 academic areas. Both of these guides are created and updated by the Advising Center, and they are constantly contacting department heads at local community colleges in hopes of creating more. But as the example went, 2+2 in psychology at COD will tell the student exactly what classes to take at COD, so that upon transfer to North Central, they will be online with the psychology department. Hopefully they won't change their major. Next, I would like to talk a little bit about how we use student workers or callers at North Central to get in touch with prospective students. Each counselor at North Central can hire 8 student workers, with one of them being an area coordinator. The area coordinator is basically an assistant to the counselor as well as manages the other 7 callers. We try to get these callers to call about 3 to 4 hours per week to contact the students. That doesn't always happen, depending on the time of the term. It can go down to 0 hours a week, or if it's a good time where they have some time, it can go up to like 7 hours a week. The way we do it is we use only transfer students to call our prospective transfers. Each student has about 10 schools to call, and they only call prospective students that are from those 10 schools. The hope is that they will develop a relationship by continually calling the same students, and will learn more about those 10 schools so they can help the student compare and contrast their school with North Central. The 10 schools, they all have a combination of community colleges, private schools, and public schools. The cards that the students call off of are generated from a variety of sources. It could be a card that maybe a student filled out when they came to visit Dan or I. on campus, or maybe a card that we brought back from a college fair. That information gets dumped into the computer, and an information card is printed, and my area coordinator then divides those cards to the appropriate boxes to the 10 colleges that the student then will call. Some examples of why we have our students call. We do like to have our students keep in touch like on a monthly basis, but then they do call for other reasons, such as on upcoming transfer open house. We get them all in and let the students know about the open house, or especially if Dan or I are planning a community college visit, they will let them know when we're coming, where we will be sitting. And our area coordinators also send a little postcard to let the students know we will be there. The last thing I want to touch on is kind of a unique thing. Does anybody, raise your hand if anyone's school has a special dorm or special house on campus that is exclusively for new transfer students? Does anybody have anything like that? Okay. At North Central, we call it the transfer house. The college owns about 5 homes that are adjacent to the campus, and what you need, some house faculty departments, but others do house students, and it is considered on-campus housing. It's considered prime housing, so students pay about $135 more to be in one of these houses. And a group of students gets together and comes up with a cause or an interest that they all are interested in, and they go to Residence Life and propose that idea to them. And if it is accepted, that will become the theme for their house. In the past, some of the themes have been the environmental house, the religion house, the homeless house, the gender house, and the transfer house. Although the cause and the plight of transfers isn't as well known or maybe as serious as homelessness, they do have their own issues, and they really do act as advocates for the other transfer students on campus. Part of being awarded a house is that you need to do monthly programming. And Dan is the advisor for the transfer house, and he tries to make sure that I don't know if they always do, but tries to make sure they do some type of program in highlighting the transfers on campus. Part of their other mission is to also help us recruit and retain more transfers. So they will come over. Right now there are 8 women that live in the transfer house, and they'll come over and help us do calls before an open house. And there's also a requirement that they must accompany us to at least one community college visit as well. The transfer house really, I think, helped us recruit students this year. I mentioned it to a couple women that we did have it last year, and they kept calling me and said, "Are you going to have the transfer house again? I'm really interested." And I'm happy to say that those women are all at North Central living in the transfer house, and I'm very happy with it. Each year the homes are up for grabs, so each spring a group of students can go to Residence Life and try and get this house. So this is the second year we've had the transfer house, and we're hoping we'll be able to continue that for many years to come. So those are just 4 things that we do at North Central that we have found beneficial in recruiting transfers, and I'm going to turn it over to Barb to hear about helpers. And I'll just leave these samples up front for you.